Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah.
Melanated!
Welcome to another episode of Hate Watch the Bachelorette with me, guys. This was an absolute amazing episode. This is episode 9 of the season. This is the episode where Rachel brings the guys to Dallas to meet her family, and it was such a good episode. I was like enthralled the entire time. I actually stopped taking notes after when they went to Spain. I don't even know what happened in Spain because I didn't take any notes. So they're in Dallas and Rachel comes into the hotel room and tells the guys that they are going to meet her family. They're all really nervous. She takes Peter first and they go baby shopping. They go baby shopping to get something for her sister Constance and something for her nephew Alistair. And it's cute because she like explains to Peter what's necessary or like what the sister wants, and he's really like into looking up and finding the items and like figuring out the sizing, and it's kind of cute. And I'm just like, oh, Peter's a responsible adult. Yeah, that makes me happy because I hate when guys act like they don't know what to get for baby showers, and like not even in a way that's like, oh, I don't know what to get, like let's figure this out, like what do babies need, in a way that's like, I don't know what to get, like you do it. Like they act like they're scared to do it. That is annoying to me because like we're all human, and just because I am a woman doesn't mean I necessarily know what to get for babies. And like if you could just help out, stop being a weirdo. My brother is the worst. But then they have a shot back at the hotel with Eric and Bryan, and Eric and Bryan are talking about Peter and how Peter has mentioned that even if he does win, even if she does give him the final rose, he may not get on bended knees and ask her to marry him. And there's like a genuine concern from the two of them that that's not fair, because if they don't get picked and they're willing to marry her, like it sucks that Peter would get picked. When I think about it in the bubble of the show, I'm like, yeah, Peter should go. Well, when I think about it in the outside and like looking from the outside in and how I would be, I think Peter is still a possible candidate because like he's being real. And that's the one thing that you can count on, is that he will be real and honest. You get what I'm saying? Like I would rather have Peter be real and honest with me about his feelings and us have a genuine connection and be two genuine people who really could do well together than be with somebody who is just like, okay, fine, I'll just deal with you. I'll be with you. Like, and that's how Eric and Pete, that's how I would take it because I'm a skeptic when it comes to love. So like I would rather have the other skeptic to be with. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to the person who is just like all in no matter what. It feels like that person would force me to stay in an unhappy relationship just because of the rule all in no matter what. You get what I'm saying? That's just a little bit about me. We're not here to talk about me. Before they go into the house, before Rachel takes him inside of her family home, which is a beautiful home, by the way, let me say. I love the little black art on the wall. You know, Peter walks in and says hello and hugs everyone, and they sit down to have their fake dinner. So before they get into the house, Peter sits outside with her on the fence, and they talk about like their last interaction. He left the conversation up in the air because that's where he said that he didn't know if he was going to propose to her at the end of this or not. And we all didn't know how to take it. Like I felt he shouldn't have been on the show if that's not what he was going to do, especially if he knew that that was something that he wasn't necessarily going to be on board with. But after him explaining it today, I just really like Peter, and I like how real he is, and I like how realistic he is about this, and not just in the reality competition show, but is like in the real world as well. And it's like, look, I'm not going to propose to someone unless it's real. I'm not going to do a fake proposal just for TV. And he tells her that he's falling in love with her at that point, and that he didn't know if he was falling in love with her before because of this whole situation, and he's very cautious when it comes to love. And they're exactly the same person. Apparently when Rachel was on The Bachelor, she was the cautious one. They have the conversation with the family. He gives a really great speech about how, you know, he blacked out when he first met her, and that he was lucky enough to have the first date, and there was a lot of things that really connected them on the first date that felt to him like there was another force pushing them together. But throughout this competition, it's been really hard to keep with that because he hasn't gotten to spend as much time with her as he would like to get to know if he could be at the place where he's falling in love. And he just said that he just felt that last night, or the last time they spoke, and it was at the rose ceremony. That's when he realized that he was falling in love with her, and that because he missed her and he really wanted to see her. And also I think that a little bit of him being on the chopping block with Dean was a little bit shaky for him. Like he was like, whoa, I didn't, you know, I'm in the bottom too. Like, okay, no, I don't want to be here. I do want to get to know Rachel. I do want to pursue this more. And I can respect that. I respect his honesty so much, you guys. I respect it so so much, especially as a first-time watcher of this and being somebody who is skeptical in my own right about this whole process. Like, I think he's the most realistic, and he's setting them up, if it is right, he's setting them up for a long lifetime of love and understanding and communication, and I am 100% down with that. When he talks to her family, they're immediately enthralled and brought into it. Constance really likes him. The mom really likes him. And Constance is her sister, and you can tell that she's a pivotal person throughout this entire process. You can tell they've had many late night conversations about this show. And also her edges are laid. Constance's edges are laid. Okay, if I didn't have a natural style, because like, does she got a little perm on them? Laid, fight me. She's so beautiful too. I mean, like, she's like a little doll. The family really likes the fact that he's being realistic about this. Constance's husband is not black, and her uncle, who I guess is stepping in for the father, his wife is not black. So there are interracial couples in Rachel's family, and I think that having those very real conversations about what it's like to be in an interracial relationship, I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see Peter and the brother-in-law have a conversation about what it's like to be with a black woman. Peter ends up having a conversation with Rachel's mother, and she's like, "Are you ready to marry my daughter?" Peter says, "Honestly, no." And Mama Lindsay really likes that. She's like, "Thank you for saying that. Thank you, because that is one of the concerns between me and her father, is that we are really worried that, you know, you guys aren't going to be thinking these things through." And so yeah, so it's really, really great visit with the family. And at the end, Peter is on the ground playing with Alistair and like doing some kind of puzzle thing. I'm not sure exactly. And somebody is like, "Oh, Alistair, what's his name?" And he's like, Peter. Like, he's, you know, trying to say Peter. And Rachel's cousin Andrea is like, "What's his name?" "Winner." And I was like, yes, Andrea, come through with that yellow shirt on. She was looking so cute. I just love the entire family. I was like, yay, Lindsay family is so cute. I love them. The next date goes to Eric. So Eric and Rachel go on the next date. They go to some, I don't know where, they're doing something boring that I don't even care about. They're on the top of something, and like apparently Eric is shaking. I don't know why. But anyways, the real conversation is being had back at the hotel between Peter and Bryan. Bryan is just talking about how like, yeah, I'm just ready to go in there, you know, prove to the family how much I love her, tell them how great I am and how great Rachel is and how great we're going to be together. And like, yeah, I'm just going to ask for the mom's hand in marriage, and it's going to be like whatever. And this entire time, girl, let me tell you that I did not know that Peter did not like Bryan. Apparently that's a thing, and I don't recall that ever, you know, the producers kept that from us, and I feel like that was a very important bit of tea, right? Like, I wanted to know that tea. So yeah, Peter doesn't like Bryan. He feels like Bryan is super cocky, and he's annoyed. He's annoyed that Bryan is making it seem like this is what he's gonna do. This is his game plan. It's so easy, and you know, like that's how he's gonna win this show. Bryan just laid out his entire strategy, and it just seems so contrived at this time. Like, I'm just like, how could I have ever been persuaded by Bryan? How would I not see him? In that moment, I was like, ugh, Bryan, ugh. Not into you at all, you snake charmer, you. Oh yeah, Peter also says, like, you know, the reason why I haven't been able to fall in love or really, you know, open up myself, and the reason why I'm so reserved is because this is such an awkward situation to really get to know someone in. It's like, I'm now sitting here with my girlfriend's boyfriend, and she's on a date with her other boyfriend. It's just weird. And this is my thoughts exactly. And those of you who fought me in the comment section saying like, oh, but you know, she kisses other people in her entire life, so what does it matter? It's different when you see them dating other people and you're supposed to fall in love with them. I couldn't do it. So then we cut back to Rachel and Eric at her family's home. I really do think that Eric is kind of speaking in circles a little bit when he's talking, but I appreciate the fact that he's actually trying to answer the question and give like thought-provoking answers. But sometimes I'm just like, oh, you're saying a little bit too much and it's starting to not make any sense, Eric. But okay. I think he's really nervous around her family. I love the little moment that she has with Andrea with, hey, and it kind of shadows back to the moment that Rachel had with his family in Baltimore, and I thought that was really cute. I'm actually wondering if the family has seen any of the footage. Like, I want to know the timeline of them meeting the family, because I don't know if if they know what's going on. Like, have they seen the show? Like, are the first 3 episodes out so the way they can kind of tell who these people are so far? I don't know. He does ask the mom for her hand in marriage, and the mom says, she doesn't directly say yes to any of them. She more so says, if Rachel chooses you, I will support her choice. It's weird that you ask for the hand in marriage after only knowing somebody in a bubble for 3 weeks or for like 6 weeks or however long this is. But you know, I guess it's a part of the shtick where you have to ask for the hand in marriage. And then back at the confessionals, Peter throws the best shade of this season. He says, how can she even trust Bryan? Bryan is from Miami, where there is fake boobs, fake butts, and fake cheeks. You know that 150% Peter is talking about Bryan's fake ass cheeks. I didn't know if they was fake or not. And I've heard people say there's as well. I don't know what, he has fillers in it. Girl, I don't know about I don't know about plastic surgery like that, so I wasn't 100% sure that his cheeks were fake, but my friend Chris told me his fake cheeks. Let me get some water. I was dying, you guys. I was dying. I was like, thank you. I love it. I love all the shade. It is so hot in this room. Come on with the shade, Peter. Come on with the shade. So Rachel's family really likes Eric. I still think they like Peter more, but they do like Eric as an alternative, as do I. Bryan. So Bryan has his meet the family. And so Bryan went in with his entire strategy. He was going to charm them. He charmed her friends, which I was just like... And because they're supposed to be her first line of defense, and I don't feel like they really did their job. That's just my opinion. So he sits down to have his fake dinner. And he talks about how immediately he was in love with Rachel and how he knew that was his girlfriend. And that took everyone aback. Like, Mama was aback, Constance was aback, and so was bro-in-law. Okay, everybody was just like, what? And so they were just not feeling this like fake ass energy that Bryan was giving off. And so they started asking him questions like, what do you think about this? And so he gave his generic answer, and Mom, you know, she dug a little deeper and she was like, okay, but like outside of the bubble of this, like, what do you think? And he really didn't have an answer. He just kept saying like different versions of his same fake ass surface answers, and they weren't here for it. And finally, Rachel was like, you guys, he answered your questions. Like, I feel like Rachel was like, listen, I am on a show and you guys are not going to fluster this man, okay? He gave you his fake ass answer. Leave it alone. Bryan can't handle it. I mean, this is the first thing and he's already like freaking out. He gets up and leaves. Where he goes, who knows? Maybe he goes and calls his mama, because that seems like what he would do in a situation like this. I can't believe his punk ass got up. He should have just been like, honestly, guys, that's where I feel. That's how I feel, guys. I'm honestly in love with your daughter. Like, I don't know how else to say it. And I'm, you know, something. But it's because he went in there with a script in his mind. And because he wasn't able to charm him, then he didn't know what to do. And that's his bad. And he didn't know how to switch up his tactics. And like, to me, like, come on, boo-boo, if you're going to do this, do this. You know what I'm saying? Come with your game plan. Come ready to go. Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. And he only had Plan A, and Plan A was not working with the Lindsay family. Rachel, hello. Like, I was like, yes, Rachel. I mean, even though she was doing it against her family, but I did love to see that. I loved seeing it. And she was just like, I'm not even going to talk to you right now, to her mother. She's like, I'm not even going to go into what you did. And mother was like, no, let's go into it. Like, this is what I was trying to do. And Rachel was like, he already answered your question. It was the realest moment on this show that I have ever seen. And I was 100% here for it. And I loved it. I loved how she pushed back, even though I think that like, Rachel's in the bubble of this show, and then she turns to Constance, and Constance was like, well, this is what we're trying to do. And then the brother-in-law was like, blah, 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 and she was like, basically like, and no one was talking to you. I mean, I was just like, let me just watch it again. Let me watch it again so that I can like, I wonder how long they paused tape. Did they pause it for like an hour, and like everybody had to like reassess? Because when they came back, everybody was in better spirit. I love how Rachel has to pretend that she hasn't seen her family in a while and hug every single member like she just didn't see them yesterday. Oh, tell me about your family. I don't even got this. Guys, maybe this is what made the family go in on him like that. He wouldn't just answer the question. That was a red flag for me too. I was like, just say it. If you're just so into saying things, but he probably didn't just say it because he knows his mom's gonna watch this and he doesn't want to say that so that his mom can be like, or maybe he really is just like, no, my mom comes first. Red flag. You know, as Whoopi Goldberg said in Ghost, Molly girl, you in danger. Mama's boy.
You know, all these questions are being fired at Bryan. I'm frustrated. I'm irritated at this point. You know, Bryan is fine, but
Bryan was not fine.
Frustrated.
No, Bryan was not fine. He got up and left. I have mixed emotions about it. Yeah, she should have stood up for him because, like, that's her guest, you know what I'm saying? And, like, her family, she felt like her family was attacking him. But they're right. They're right. And I think she's right for defending him. But Bryan is a little old punk-ass Bryan. He got it from the table. Like, instead of, I wish that he had said it. If he had been like, hey, you guys are asking me a lot of questions and I just wasn't prepared to answer these questions right now. If you can give me a moment to think about it or something to, like, explain himself, but getting up and leaving? Nah, Bryan, nope, nope, nope. After they come back and everybody's in better spirits, she has a conversation with her brother-in-law and she says to him, you know how I am. Like, I'm fine until I'm not. Bryan comes back and everybody lays off of him and lets him give his bullshit answers and nobody calls him out on anything else. And he ends up leaving the situation like, yeah, it was good. No, Bryan, it was not good. It was terrible. It was absolute garbage and we all saw it. Then she's like, oh, I really like the way you handled yourself. You handled yourself well. That was a lot. No, Rachel, he did not handle himself well. Just to let you know. And now there's a montage of her walking back in the house so she could tell her entire family off. She has her first one-on-one with Eric, and they get on a helicopter, and they ride around the area that they're in, which is La Rioja in Spain. And they get off the helicopter, and they go to this, like, chapel or this, like, church or mission or something. They sit down and they have some champagne, is what they always do on this show. Apparently they love them some champagne. And Rachel then starts to ask Eric some questions about how, what did being around her family teach him? And he just said that you're strong and you're independent and you don't really need anything, but you need everything. And she was like, what? And I was like, what? They just have these, like, stock card answers. And I'm like, just be honest. Say you don't know. Like, say it was a lot of information and it was hard to delineate, but I do see the type of family that you come from in this structure. And then maybe it's a little overwhelming for him because, like, he didn't grow up in that environment. I don't know, but, like, that answer was dumb. So she lets him off the hook at that point because, like, she realizes he's not going to give an answer that makes any sense because he's nervous. And they go ring a bell or whatever. Then they have dinner that night and she left 3 different openings for him to say, I'm falling in love with you. I love you, Rachel. And he didn't say it to the very end. It's like she had to, like, surgically remove it from him. You know, like, okay, and you feel this way because... Okay, great. So that's perfect. And you are doing these things because you feel... Great. So then you are moving to this thing because you feel... And finally he said it. It was, like, so painful to watch. He finally said it. She gave him the fantasy suite card, and I guess they got to spend the whole night talking in this fantasy suite. Okay. I think he's the easiest choice for her. So her next date is with Peter and they go to this wine vineyard. They go into, like, this wine cellar and they're sitting outside and they're having the conversation about marriage and engagement and what it means at the end of this show. And Peter starts to talk about how he feels about engagement. He says that to him, engagement is the same thing as, like, getting married. Like, when he asks a girl to marry him, we're getting engaged, we're waiting to plan the marriage. Which is what I think engagement is. Anyways, before she can even say that, the producers set up some scheme to interrupt their conversation, and they go step on grapes to make wine. Shout out to I Love Lucy. After that, they have their night date, and they're sitting in this area, and they're having a very candid, honest conversation about the engagement thing. And he still says, like, to me, engagement means that we're getting married. As soon as I get engaged, which I only want to do one time, I only want to ever ask someone to marry me one time. When I say that, that means that we are getting married. And I don't know that I'm ready to say that at the end of this situation because I don't know that I would be ready to jump in and start planning a wedding with you. Like, we don't know each other well enough to do that. And her thing, Rachel's thing is like, no, to me, engagement means that we are building a relationship to get married at the end. That it doesn't have to happen next week or next month or even next year, but it is going to happen. And he's like, no, I want to get to know a person first. And then when I know that I'm ready for engagement, then we get engaged and married, like, we start planning the wedding immediately. To me, like, I feel like Rachel's changing up what an engagement means for the sake of this show. Like, she wants guarantees, and he's like, I can't give you guarantees. I'm 100% with him. I don't believe in suffering through relationships. Like, I believe that if things aren't right, you move on. We live in such a big world. Like, there would be no reason for him to decide, like, look, this is the person I'm going to marry. Now our journey to marriage is us figuring out how to get along. The world is your oyster. Why would you say, I pick you to struggle with until we can figure it out? That's weird. I'm not going to do that. I don't pick anybody to struggle with until we can figure it out. So, like, she doesn't end up giving him the date card. It says it's to be continued. And I mean, I just don't know. Like, I feel like she's saying that at that point that she's decided that's it with Peter. And I don't think that's fair. I think that if they were in the real world, they would date and they would probably get along really well at the end of it. But I like the fact that he's sticking to his guns, and a lot of people think that he is doing this because he wants to be the next Bachelor. Eric is all in, and I don't think she's gonna go with Bryan because I think she realizes that her family doesn't trust Bryan, and I think it's gonna play into her normal instincts or her original instincts dealing with Bryan. So it makes me really sad, and that's why I think the prediction that I made in the beginning of this video is valid, because did I even make it in the beginning of this video? So yeah, here's my prediction. My prediction is that she's gonna end up with Eric, because her family has reservations about Bryan, as does she, even though she can pretend like she doesn't, she does. And the person that she should be with, the most responsible person, is Peter, but Peter is not willing to give her what she wants, which is that engagement. Eric is the one who is the easiest to be with. He's the one that's genuine and excited about being with her. You know, Rachel is really a great woman. Like, she's a really great woman to be with, and like, he would be lucky to have her. And she's lucky to have him too, but he would be lucky to have her. Let's be honest with that. This episode was great. I'm obviously drawn into this whole situation, much to my chagrin. If Peter is the next Bachelor, though, I will watch that, because I mean, and you'll come with me, right? Because Peter is bae. If Bryan is the next Bachelor, I will not watch. If Eric is the next Bachelor, I will watch. I love how at the beginning of the Spain part of the episode, she like gets out of the van, perfect, not looking as though she just got off of like, you know, a 5 to 8 hour flight, refreshed hair, ready to go, outfit cute, unwrinkled, and she like pulls out the tiniest little suitcase and like shimmies into the hotel with her tiny ass suitcase. Like, I was like, this is so unnecessary. We didn't even need to see this fake intro at all. Like, and all the guys are just like, you know, Bryan's like walking down a like chic little alley and like plays soccer with some kids, and like Peter is just like walking down the street. A little girl in her like quinceañera dress walks, or her communion dress, like runs past him. I was like, this is so contrived. Thank you, ABC. She's like, I didn't sacrifice everything in my life to get a boyfriend. I could have got a boyfriend elsewhere. Yeah, but like, Peter is bae. Like, could you have gotten a boyfriend like Peter? Is my question. Someone who's going to be honest about this weird ass situation. Someone who knows, who went through this entire journey with you and like still wants to get to know you after he's seen you dating other guys. Like, girl, you really want to get engaged that bad? Like, okay, well, that is the end of this episode, you guys. I'm really excited for next week's episode. I hope it comes on next Monday and they don't play no games with my emotions. And let's have this conversation down below, you guys. Go on ahead and leave a comment. Let me know how you feel about it. And if you like what I do on this channel, please go on ahead and click the link down below. And if you like my pillows, look, my bed is so messy today, I'm sorry. Go on ahead and check the links down below to the pillows I have in my background. And that is it. Remember to be you, be true, and take your place. No, I think it's find your place. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.